This is Blackologist Professor Multa Zamani Cross, UBZD, coming to you from the Blackological Radio Highway Virtual University at blackology.com. This is the journey to the education of the Black mind. May the content of your character be the knowledge of your culture. We can never be number one with anyone else until we are number one with ourselves. Blackology Radio is dedicated to the proposition of the invention, development, creation of the intellectual, cultural science of Blackology. The way of Blackology. If I speak in the languages of other cultures and assimilate to their ways, but have not cultural affirmation, I am a copycat or a second-class citizen. If I have their theories, philosophies, and beliefs, and can quote all their great men, and have studied all their sciences so as to perpetuate their culture, but have not a sense of my own cultural solidarity, I am walking the path of least existence. If I throw away all my heritage and hold up the heritage of other cultures, but have not any consciousness of my own, I gain nothing. Blackology is patient and kind. It is not jealous or boastful. It is not ashamed of its history. It is productive and creative. It does not rejoice at self-hatred. It rejoices in unity. It bears all its people. It believes in all its people. It has hope for the future. It knows what the people need and what they want. It endures all struggles. Blackology never ends. As for assimilation, it will pass away. As for other cultures, they will cease. For their theories, philosophies are imperfect, and their second-class citizenship is imperfect. But when Blackology comes, their imperfections will pass away. When I was a slave, I spoke as a slave. I dreamed as a slave. I thought as a slave. I reasoned as a slave. I acted like a slave. When I became emancipated and free, I gave up my slave mentality. For now, we must acknowledge the need of Blackology. But then we wore masks. Now I have knowledge of self and equality. Then I was afraid. Even as I understand the need of cultural science, I know I must be understood. So I say to myself, it must be worth fighting for. It must be worth living for. It must be worth dying for. Abide, be free. But the greatest is to die. If a black man or woman has not found something worth dying for, he or she is not fit to live. Brothers and sisters, Blackology is the ancestral gift to the black culture. Also, your man cross.
the harmony liberty. Rejoice in the sky. And thou who hast brought us thus far away, thou who hast brought us into the flame of God has and see children and heaven. Children bring them home again. Liberty, yeah.
This is Blackologist Professor Cross, UBZD. The UBZD means the Universal Blackological Science Doctorates from the Cultural Science of Blackology. This has been a 30-year research and study to invent the cultural science of Blackology. Blackology is defined as the scientific study of the evolution of Black African people and their culture. It is the perpetuation and utilization of the ideals, philosophies, theories, beliefs, concepts, and notions of their past and present life experience and the spirit of their uncompromising struggle as their cultural knowledge. It is also the acclamation, affirmation, declaration, and proclamation of intellectual genius, creativity, and the Black story. Holistically, it is the manifestation of an authentic, autonomous, applied, Blackological, intellectual, cultural science, education, commerce. What do we mean? What are we talking about? We are talking about
the entrepreneurship, jobs, and careers for those black scholars who have worked in the fields for years, working on developing ideals, concepts, inventing all kinds of ways that black people could survive in order to live in this black diaspora within the United States. There have been many who have come, the names of whom which we could be naming forever. But Blackology is something that evolved out of the research and study in 1964 of black history. Blackology did not come out of sociology, psychology, anthropology, paleontology. It did not come out of any of the urological fields of studies. We want you to acknowledge this and to overstand, as the UNIA would say today. Not necessarily understand, but overstand the necessity of developing this field of study. We are now in a time in this country where we have come to be able to elect blacks and non-whites into the president's seat and into the political seats throughout the black diaspora. The time has come not only for political acquisition as far as our black culture is concerned, but it has also come for the intellectual acquisition in terms of being able to acknowledge that black culture has its own body of knowledge. It has its own cultural sphere by which black people evolve. We are not the same that we were 50 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and in some instances, maybe even 5 years ago, because the evolution of the black mind is an ongoing, everyday phenomenon. It does not stop at Negro. Being black, being African, it evolves into a collective phenomenon that has in its place the justice, redemption, advancement of black people, and the redevelopment of black African culture. In April 1995, I read an article called Decolonizing the Mind. And in so doing, I wrote this blackological thought. After reading the article Decolonizing the Mind, I realized that there should be a process for decolonizing the mind. The article was by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. He was one whom I studied in the African-centered African Studies program at Howard University. It was not necessarily African-centered. Let me go back and elaborate on that. It was a more Negrological institution, and that was Howard University. So I studied this under Dr. Mbe Cham, and it was Decolonizing the Mind. Ngugi was not given to things that you could do to undo the process of decolonizing your mind. As an African-centered educator and a blackological scholar and scientist, I was educated in the process of undoing my miseducation as a black African. I was taught the process of undoing my miseducation by Abner Walker, principal and president of the historic African-centered school in Washington, D.C. in 1996. So it was proper and fitting. There should be a process to decolonize the mind, and it goes as follows. A, the very first thing you must do is to eliminate the word nigger from your vocabulary, or any word that underestimates, marginalizes, or devalues Black African people and their culture. Teach others to use the word is to dehumanize all Black Africans and Black people. It is also an indictment against the intelligence of yourself and all Black people. It also casts a devaluing aspect to the character of the person using the word. You must understand that there is nothing enduring about this word. Recognize this for yourself and become conscious of your own miseducation and colonialism. B, accept that you are and have been, for your mind is colonized and miseducated. From then, you will be able to proceed. Study and research the effects of colonization or miseducation. Read the following books by Black scholars. Any books on Black nationalism and Black history. Afrocentricity by Malife Asante, Black nationalists, scholars, and Blackologists. Booker T. Washington, Up From Slavery. Any books or tapes you can get on Marcus Garvey. UNIA Association by Marcus Garvey. Harambe Radio and the UNIA that exists today at uniaacl.com. Read Dr. Chancellor Williams' The Destruction of the Black Civilization. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro. Dr. John Henry Clark, PhD, and Dr. Yosef Ben-Jochannan. Any books that you can get on these brothers, read them to decolonize your mind and undo your miseducation. Read Dr. Frances Welsing's The ISIS Papers and her videos. Go to her webpage, drfranceswelsing.com. Read Dr. Naim Akbar, Chains of Psychological Slavery. Dr. Neely Fuller, The Compensatory Code Concept Workbook Textbook for Victims of White Supremacy, quote unquote, the code. Dr. Julius Nyerere and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Touré, Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, and other Black scholars of the South African or Black African Independent States Movement. Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Decolonizing the Mind, The Politics of Language in Africa, 1986. Malcolm X autobiography, audio tapes, videotapes. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad's Message to the Black Man, The Nation of Islam, and anything that you can get by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., What Manner of Man, videotapes, audio tapes. Go out and see the monument. Minister Farrakhan, Power Tapes, who is also the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Anything you can get on the Nation of Islam. Take classes in African-centered education. Read Frantz Fanon, Wretched of the Earth. Read The Introduction to Blackology, Brief Introduction to Blackology by Blackologist Professor Cross, UBZD. Go to blackology.com and read all the Black web pages that you can read and books on Blackology in Evolutionary Cultural Science by Blackologist Professor Croce and Dr. Amos Mohammed DeLuc Sirleaf. Go to the web page, click on books. And when you go to the web page, also click on all the links. Every link has videos underneath them and audios that deal with the miseducation, decolonizing our minds. Do an analysis of your own miseducation. You must know for yourself how you were miseducated and colonized. Eliminate from your character the elements of miseducation and colonialism that you find. Be honest and sincere with yourself. Don't be tripping over yourself. Don't try to fool yourself. Be honest with yourself about what miseducation and colonialism is. And remember, this is not something that you can undo overnight. Be honest about the effects of white Jesus and its origin. Go to the computer, type in there the origin of the word Jesus. Educate the word Niggr from your heart, your mind, and your soul. The myth of European cultural supremacy and Eurological cultural supremacy. Take that from your mind. Know what it is. Study to understand how cultural conditioning from these two cultures have conditioned Black people to feel dependent and inferior. Know that straight hair is not better than natural Black African hair. Be Black and proud of yourself, your hair. You cannot eliminate from the holistic Black being that you are, your humanity. You cannot eliminate anything except know and love yourself as a Black man, Black woman. Do not think white or light is better than dark or Black. The standard of white beauty is not better than Black beauty. The myth that only whites can develop interdisciplinary sciences or intellectual sciences is not only a myth, but it is a great lie. Support the development of Blackology or cultural science by any means necessary. Come join us. Become a Blackologist. Help us to build this field of study so that we will be able to do the justice, redemption, advancement of our people and the redevelopment of our culture. And then we will be able to make jobs and careers for our people in this field of study. All the scholars have said no in research, whether they are Eurological, Arabic, or Asian, or Black African. They all know the solution to the problem that faces their culture and their people is education. With this intellectual science of Blackology, we will be able to carve a tunnel of hope through a mountain of despair. We will be able to employ our people. Seek and strive every day for the Black knowledge that forever confronts you. Know the words that promote, underestimate, and marginalize and devalue Black people or Black African people. Study to gain self-approval and evolutional development. Collect articles, books, movies, documentaries that educate yourself on evolutional development of Black African culture or Black people. This will also help you to develop your own Blackological library that consists of books, videos, audios, and Black African culture. Not only for you, but for your entire family, and most of all, the next generation, our children, and the unborn progeny and prodigy yet to come. Write and talk about decolonizing your mind and undoing your miseducation. Share what you've learned with others. The more we talk about the evolution of Blackology, the more it evolves into a field of study that will provide jobs, career, and opportunities for Black people to educate themselves on their culture. If our culture is not doing for us, putting food on the table, clothes on our back, a roof over our head, how then can we respect and love the culture? Culture is more than just words. It is a way of living, a life. It is all that we are and everything that makes us who we are. That is the Black knowledge that is forever confronting you. Do not accept the white Jesus as your personal savior. It is okay to believe in Jesus, described in the Bible, but not a urological version of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed if you are a Black African. Educate others on the process of Blackological evolution. Talk about the intelligence that is within your culture, your family, and your people. Give them their just deserts. Give them the credit due them. Learn to spell from a Blackological perspective. Learn to spell the word intelligence Blackologically. N-T-L-E-A-J-N-Z-Z. Learn what Blackological science is. Accept the fact that there is Black knowledge and strive to acquire that cultural knowledge. As Black scholars, we must see ourselves as Black intellectuals who have evolved from our own autonomous cultural science. We must spell the word as such to give credence to our own autonomous body of knowledge. As Black intellectuals, we must promote the freedom, utilization, and perpetuation of innovative, authentic, monolithic, creative genius, the acronym I am encouraged, of Black African people and their culture. The evolutional freedom of decolonizing the Black mind will begin with the use of Blackological evolutional intelligence. Believe in the fact that you are a Black intellectual, that intelligence dwells within you. Utilize Black scholars when you are trying to show intelligence by quoting intelligent Black men and Black women of wisdom. Don't go to Europeans or Arabs or anyone to try to show that you are wise because you are quoting someone outside of your culture. When you go into the Black culture and you study it, you will find wisdom that is great to be shared by others. And you must be able to say that because of my culture, I cannot do that. Nobody should be able to walk to you and tell you to do anything that is antithetical to the growth and the development of your culture. Do not promote urological scholars as superior to Black African scholars, i.e. Jewish scholars would not promote Hitler as a superior intellectual to Jewish scholars. Do not quote white European scholars to make yourself look smart or wise. Only quote Black scholars to express your awareness, approval, and support for the Black African cultural intelligence. Lead by example. Questions teachers and instructors on why we are studying Eurological scholars when Black African scholars are just as knowledgeable in the field. Do not be afraid to stand for the belief that Black knowledge is a reality, a culture, a way of life. Quote these words to yourself and to those who are not conscious or unconscious of promotion and perpetuation of Eurological intellectual dominance. Blackologically speaking, I refuse to accept the ideal that the presence of Eurological scholars makes the Black scholars morally incapable of reaching up for the Black knowledge that forever confronts them. Blackologists, Cross, 11/14/02. There is a process you must do to educate colonization and miseducation from the hearts, minds, and souls. It is more than just taking a class, talking about it, writing a book. You must believe, promote, and utilize the cultural science and Black African science in your life. As Black people, you must believe in your autonomous cultural knowledge. You must believe in your life for the evolution of Black African people and their culture. You must be able to stand, live, fight, and die for the redemption of Black people. Always use your mind for the advancement of Black knowledge and the redevelopment of Black African culture. If you can do most of these, you are on your way to decolonizing your mind.
The myth of Blackology. There is a myth. It is a vision deeply rooted in the Black culture, at the HBCUs, and in the minds of Black scholars. There is a myth that one day in the Black culture, all over the world, the sons and daughters of former slaves, free Blacks, and all Black Africans will be proud of their culture and will be able to live together as brothers and sisters. There is a myth, brothers, that one day in the Black culture, Blackology will be taught to Black children, and they will be able to say equality at last, and that they will no longer have to deal with second-class citizenship, minority status, and colonialism. There is a myth that the cultural science of Blackology will come and eliminate cultural deprivation of Black people. There is a myth, brothers and sisters, the Black man will no longer be dependent on the ology of other cultures, but that they will utilize the philosophies, theories, and the knowledge of their forefathers to develop for for their culture, solutions to the problems of black culture and black African people. There is a myth today in the black culture. The science of blackology will become a reality. In this day, with this science, we can go out and achieve equality, and there will be no unsurmountable goal. There is a myth that my children and other young brothers and sisters will not come up the way I did. They will be judged on the content of their character, and their character will be molded and not by the WASP measuring rod of white middle class standards. There is a myth this afternoon that there in this country and the world, black brothers and sisters will be able to study blackology in their schools, and that blackology will be a science that will be a contribution to world culture. And they will be able to be productive and creative in their culture by building institutions of self-determination. Yes, there is a myth that one day in the black culture that the science of blackology will become real and black knowledge will roll down like water and black heritage like a mighty stream. There is a myth, brothers and sisters, that we will recognize the philosophies, theories, and the beliefs of black scholars, and that all black men, women, and children are involved by the Creator's will in some unalienable rights. And among these are cultural affirmation, cultural solidarity, cultural education, and cultural intellectual equality. There is a myth that the exploitation, degradation, and cultural inequality will be eliminated and black culture will be exalted, and that marginalization, underestimation, and devaluing of black people will come to an end. And black intellectuals will see this. And the glory of black culture will be revealed. And all black African people shall see this together. There is a myth this afternoon that the brotherhood of the black man shall become a reality in this day. And through blackology, we will go out and achieve equality. With blackology, we will be able to build a tunnel of hope through a mountain of despair. We will be able to achieve a new day when all black people will have knowledge of their culture. There will be able to join hands and say equality at last. Thank the ancestors for their sacrifice. Equality at last. Thank the Creator Almighty. Equality at last. We want to make them proud. There is a myth. Blackology will make real the words, all men are created equal. By the liberation of their innovative, authentic, monolithic, intellectual, creative genius of black African people and their culture. All praise is due to the ancestors and the Creator. Blackologist, Professor Walter Zemana Cross. Blackology is the scientific study of the evolution of black African people, the perpetuation and utilization of their cultural knowledge, the intellectual creative genius, and the manifestation of cultural science education. The myth of blackology is real. There is a myth in the black culture today that the science of blackology is real. There is a myth that blackology is the hearts, the minds, and the souls of black African people. There is a myth, brothers and sisters, that blackology will make black people real intellectuals. Science. There is the myth of blackology. The myth of blackology is real. Blackology, a cultural science, is real. We are the generation. There comes a time when we must heed to a certain affirmation, when all black people must come together as culture. We are the generation. There comes a time when we must build our culture. It's time to lend a hand to family, the greatest gift of all. Black people can't go on pretending day by day that someone, somewhere, will make it happen. We are part of the black culture, and the truth is, cultural love is all we need. We are the people. We are the culture. We are the generation. We are the generation who will make the future better for the unborn prodigy to come. So let's start believing it. This is a decision we're making. We're saving our own culture. It's true. We are the generation to make a better culture, brothers and sisters. We are the generation. We must work for our future. So they will know, brothers and sisters, did care, and their life will be stronger and equal. We are the generation. We are the people. We are the culture. We are the generation, brothers and sisters, who will make the future a better place for our unborn prodigy to come. So let's start believing it. This is the decision we're making. We're saving our own culture. We are the generation. It's true. We are the generation to make a better culture, brothers and sisters. We are the generation. We are the generation. The philosophy of the black African culture is, I am because we are. And since we are, therefore I exist. We are the generation. Blackologically speaking, I refuse to accept the ideal that the presence of urological scholars makes the black scholars morally incapable of reaching up for the black knowledge that forever confronts them. We are the generation, brothers and sisters. We are the custodians of the culture of our ancestors, mothers, and fathers. We are the perpetuators of the culture of our children. to leave behind a culture that is less fertile than the one our parents left to us. We are the generation. Yes, we are. We are the generation, brothers and sisters. And let me leave this thought with you in mind. May the content of your character be the knowledge of your culture.
Now we will go to the phones and take some phone callers. Call in to blackology.com. Give us a call. Call us at 301 839 1998 and let us know what you think about Blackology. Um, any ideals you have that will help us to be able to build this field of study so that we would be able to uh, have jobs and careers and entrepreneurship for those individuals who would be interested in taking a class in Blackology, or for those individuals who have already worked in the field and would like to be degreed in Blackology or cultural science. Let us briefly just discuss with you some of the potential of Blackology or cultural science and the market of that Blackology seeks to service. In Prince George County, there are 202 schools in Prince George County. If we would just place 3 Blackologists into the 202 schools in Prince George County, and by the way, that this Prince George County is a black market. The market is 80 to 100% black population. To place 2 Blackologists into into that market of 202 schools would be 606 career positions teaching Blackology to our children in the public schools in Prince George County, high school, middle school, elementary, and preschools. This is the potential of Blackology, and we just only talked about the potential of 3 schools, and that data reflected 606 career positions. We did not even talk about books or clerical personnel, and even the development of Blackology Research and Development Institute, the University of Cultural Science, as a autonomous institution for the development of the cultural science of Blackology that is of, from, by, for, and about the justice, redemption, advancement of Black people and the redevelopment of Black African culture. But this is something that Black people need at this time. We need to be able to offer jobs to our people in our culture, since we have this culture that is world renowned, and it is growing and evolving each year. Black culture in the 1920s was productive and creative, and had its own autonomy because of the Jim Crow laws and white-only statutes that were passed so that Black people would not be able to come out of their culture or go into the white cultures to be able to achieve education, housing, and marketing. So as a result, those are the things that we had. But since the 1965 um, uh, Civil Rights Act and the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education, we've not had um, the autonomous culture that we had before uh, those two landmark um, laws that were enforced. And as a result of the passing of those two laws and bills into the political structure in the United States and its black diaspora within, the integration, busing, diluted the black culture of its intellectual genius and its um, uh, talent as far as its entertainment was concerned, and going into the integrating them into the Euro-American culture. As a result of that, the black culture today does not have the commerce that it had in the 1920s, 1930s, and even 1940s, all the way up to the 1960s and uh, uh, late 60s, early 70s. So today, Blackology or cultural science is an instrument, a intellectual cultural science commerce whose proposition thesis is that we could create, build, invent jobs, careers, and entrepreneurship for our people, teaching our cultural science to our children and ourselves. Now, we just only talked about the data of the effect that Blackology would have on Prince George County in the commerce of black culture. But when we go to our neighboring uh, geographies, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia, we have there in Washington, D.C., another 205 schools, placing another black market as well, placing 3 blackologists into these 205 schools. You would have 615 career positions again, and that Washington, D.C. is another black market from 80 to 100% black population in the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan uh, area, city. So here we are talking about, again, 615 career positions, 606 career positions. We're talking about right now 1,200, over 1,200 career positions alone with just Washington, D.C. and Prince George County. And then when we go to the neighboring geography right across the river or adjacent to Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, we're talking about another 202 schools, placing just three blackologists into that black market. Once again, we would have another 606 schools. Here we are talking about over 1,800 career positions for black scholars who have done the research, who have been working in our culture, doing the work, inventing ideals, writing books, and for solutions to the problems that face our people. But um, there is no intellectual commerce for them. And so as a result, the majority of the black scholars with master's degrees and doctoral degrees are not even hired by the universities and colleges within the area. So, but we're talking about 1,800 just in the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan area that includes Washington, D.C., Prince George County, and Northern Virginia. Now, if we take a look at the overall uh, picture of the United States um, mainland, we're talking about, and its um, and Alaska, we're talking about 205,000 schools, placing just 3 blackologists in the black market within that 205,000 schools. We're talking about 615,000 careers, jobs for black scholars who um, have been working in the field, doing the work diligently, have researched, studied, have books. Some of them are not even degreed, but we would, with Blackology Research and Development Institute, the University of Black African Culture, we would create an autonomous university that would be able to provide degrees from preschool all the way up to the doctorates to the public, private, charter schools in the black diaspora and the continental United States of America. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about putting on a bandana, strapping some guns around our chest, walking. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about intellectual cultural commerce, creating jobs, careers, opportunities for our people to teach our culture. And we have a great culture, a productive culture that has been evolving from emancipation until today, right here in the United States. And ultimately, we're looking at the entire globe. But we're talking about, as Booker T. Washington say, casting our bucket down right here where we are right now, and using the scholars that have already graduated from the universities and colleges and bringing them in to develop this Blackology University and teach them and degree them in Blackology or cultural science, all the way up to the doctorate's degree. We have the universal Blackological doctorates. We have the Blackological science doctorates. We have the Masters of Intellectual Studies, the Masters of Intellectual Science. We have the undergraduate doctorate, undergraduate Blackology degree. We have the high school Blackology degree. We have the uh, uh, junior high Blackology diploma. We have the elementary certificate, and we have a preschool certificate. So we have the makings and the curriculums to be able to build this field of study so that our people will be able to have careers, jobs, and entrepreneurship right in our culture, and uh, be able to make a contribution to our country, to the United States of America, in taxes, and educate ourselves on how to be uh, a better culture and better people. These are the things that we need right now in the United States of America for black people. Black people need to be able to do for themselves what they've been asking others to do for them. But now, how and where do we get the money from? We pay taxes every year in our local communities. The tax dollars that we pay for our schools, our homes, that we don't receive any money back to. That's the revenue. That's that's the thesis upon which we are talking about, where the funding can come from by our local governments, and our appeal to President Barack Obama to assist us, and all those who want to help build Blackology, uh, a cultural science. Now we're going to go to the phone, and we're going to take phone calls.